Let's get started today with the massive rally that the Prime Minister actually addressed in Lucknow, that some have called the biggest ever rally, at least in the last many years. The Prime Minister himself called it the biggest election rally that he'd ever addressed in his political career. Now, what's important about this is that on a day when the Supreme Court is saying there is no mixing of religion with politics, the Prime Minister made an appeal to the people of Uttar Pradesh to rise above divisions of caste and identity and to vote only for Vikas.
भाइयों बहनों, किसी समय जरूरी रहा होगा जात पात के प्रभाव, किसी समय आवश्यक रहा होगा अपने पराये का खेल, ये सब आप देख चुके हैं। उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता ये सब कुछ सहन कर चुकी है। एक बार मेरे उत्तर प्रदेश के भाइयों बहनों, एक बार अपने पराये से ऊपर उठ करके, जात पात से ऊपर उठ करके सिर्फ और सिर्फ उत्तर प्रदेश के विकास के लिए चुनाव में वोट कीजिए। आप देखिए उत्तर प्रदेश बदलता है कि नहीं बदलता।
All right, now on to our big debate on the buck stops here tonight. The Supreme Court is asking India's politicians to not mix religion with politics and to not ask for votes in the name of caste or language or creed either. Let's go straight to our panel today. From the BJP, Nalin Kohli is with us. Manish Tiwari from the Congress is with us. Usefully, both Manish and Nalin are, of course, lawyers, because this is a particularly watershed legal moment for the Supreme Court. We're also joined by Asad Owaisi, the MIM leader. He's joining us from Hyderabad. Professor Rakesh Sinha, RSS ideologue historian, is with me in the studio. Chandrabhan Prasad, a Dalit activist, commentator and writer, is with us as well. Let me start by getting the political perspectives from you, Asad Owaisi, and then I'll take it to Manish and Nalin, because there are people, and I've seen this commentary on social media today, who say that parties like yours or party like the Indian Union Muslim League would face problems after this verdict, as would say a Mayawati, who, for example, makes no bones about the fact that her core constituency is the Dalit vote. You have in campaigns, I remember, spoken about giving a voice to Muslims. Looking at this judgment today, some would say you can't do that anymore.
Well, Varka, it is very unfortunate that the Supreme Court, His Lordship, who's going to retire tomorrow,
yes,
did not review the Hindutva judgment. Now, my problem with this judgment is I agree with the dissenting view, and that is that why has the Supreme Court, the four judges, have granted Hindutva an exalted status of being a way of life and not Islam being a way of life? Why has the Supreme Court said that Hinduism equals Hindutva? And secondly, Barkha, if tomorrow I say that it is my constitutional right to have more Muslims in the Indian Parliament,
yes,
would I be committing an offence under the RP Act? Thirdly, why has the Supreme Court entered into the domain of drafting laws? It shows that the executive, whether it is Congress or BJP, is weak and meek. And fourthly, as you rightly pointed out in your initial remarks, the politics of identity.
yes.
Now, tomorrow if I say do not vote for BJP because of Rohit Vemula and the beating up of Dalits in Gujarat,
Yes.
would 123 be applied on me?
Yes.
If tomorrow I say that a mere government in a government of Uttar Pradesh could have issued a notification wherein the two CBI cases could have been clubbed and the Babri Masjid demolition accused would have been
So you're disappointed with the judgment, clearly. Asad, you're disappointed.
It is my constitutional right to put forward my views. I am saying it is my constitutional right to show the discrimination against a community.
Okay.
Now, if I show the discrimination based on empirical evidence,
yes,
so how would I be committing an offence?
Okay, now I want to underline two things before I come to you, Nalin, because not all our viewers are lawyers, not all our viewers are old enough to remember what happened in 1995. Let's bring up this graphic. This is Justice J.S. Verma delivering a path-breaking judgment when Manohar Joshi's election was challenged, and Manohar Joshi was in contention for Maharashtra Chief Minister, and he had spoken about a Hindu state in Maharashtra. Justice J.S. Verma said that although he found many of the comments in the campaign despicable, he said Hindutva cannot be called a religion. Hindutva is a way of life. And the Supreme Court today, while saying religion should not be mixed with politics, declined to revisit this judgment. So this still stands. Nalin, many would say, as Asad Owaisi is saying, the Supreme Court is contradicting itself. You cannot say Asad Owaisi is communal, but a BJP leader who wants a mandir in Ayodhya and asks for vote in that is not communal, because Hindutva is a way of life, it's not a religion. Either both Asad and the mandir proponent should be called communal, or neither, he would argue.
No. This is going to take a few minutes, Barkha, because what Mr. Owaisi has raised is a fundamental question going to the root of how would you look at Hinduism, and this is a matter of interest to me personally. So I'm not wearing my lawyer's hat for a few minutes. How would you define, say, Hinduism or Hindutva or what? Is there a definition how many times we should visit any temple or which God we should pray to? Are we on a single book? For example, like Islam is only on the Quran. There can't be a book beyond the Quran. And the Old Testament is for the Jews and the New Testament is for the Christians. So there's a book. So is there a book that defines Hinduism? There isn't. So therefore what it is, how I practice my religion is different to yours. Is there a codification of how many times I should pray, which direction I should pray in? No. These things are codified in the book of Quran and the book of, say, the Testament, whether it's old or new. So therefore there is a definition to what that religion is. It's codified in a particular manner, how it must be adhered to, how it must be followed. So therefore it's not a way of life, it's defined. Whereas Hinduism, as I would follow, you would follow, X would follow, go to a temple, not go to a temple. Some Hindus may eat beef, which others will consider
what does that
sacrilege.
have to do with this?
So
we are a country of many religions, Nalin. We are not a country of only one religion. We are a country of many religions.
No, that's why.
Yes.
Yes, Barkha. So therefore, that is the premise on which I am building the next argument. That there is no Hindu country, but there are countries that run on the Sharia or who adhere to Islam as the state religion. Because they want to follow that.
Are you saying...
So in a country like India, which is not run by any religion...
Let me clarify what you're saying.
And Hinduism cannot be defined as beyond a way of life.
Nalin, let me clarify,
because
you're making a very interesting point.
One sec.
I just want to clarify what you're saying.
Look.
I want to clarify what you're saying.
Yes, just hold on a minute.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. My clarification is this. You are suggesting that because...
go ahead.
You're suggesting that because Hinduism is not a codified religion of the book, compared to, let's say, Christianity or Islam, therefore, one can never ever by definition mix the Hindu faith in politics. That is patently untrue. The entire Mandir movement, the BJP's entire growth at one point from 2 seats to 80 plus seats was on the back of a Mandir movement.
So you need
How
to
can
allow
you call
me
that not
to
mixing
finish the
religion with
point.
politics?
Then I will come to this. No, hold on. Therefore, I'm coming to that last.
Okay.
But you have to let me finish the premise I'm building.
Okay.
So having built that first premise, the second premise is going to the Constitution. And this is how India was made, our Bharat, India, which is the first part of the Constitution, right at the opening. India, those who chose to be in India in 1947, irrespective of their religion, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, anyone, they chose it to be run by the mandate of the Constitution, not by a mandate that would be building around religion. Okay. So where the problem comes, and this goes to the whole issue of the 1980s, which is the Shah Banu case, etc.
Yes.
When religion was brought in specifically and said that no, that yes, we go to the top. That is the root and the background in which you need to see everything.
Okay.
Now you can't, when you move further,
now.
If today you are going to it, if I appeal, now there will be questions. So therefore, you have to build on this entire premise to understand the fundamentals, how it developed.
But
the
this
problem
premise,
here is, what Asad Bhai does is, when he invokes, say, Islam, or when he will say that for Muslims I want it, then a Hindu is bound to ask, I can't go to any other country, but Asad Bhai or a Muslim may have the choice to migrate for religious reasons, some for economic reasons, Hindus, others,
Nalin, you made a lot of
different
points now.
Someone for religious reasons.
But what I'm
Where
hearing
does a
you
Hindu
say,
go because
what I'm
his
hearing you
definition
say,
is
let me
not
take
there.
that to Manish.
His life is far more broad.
Nalin, let me move on now, because what you're actually doing is you're actually making this a kind of a contestation of faiths, in the sense you're saying that one religion is not a religion, a codified religion, so you can never look at it in politics in the same way as the other religions.
So therefore, that was my last point which you interrupted me. Not at all. To the contrary,
yes.
I'm saying that when you go back, therefore, the constitution becomes the package on which we all run.
Got that.
Now,
Got that,
today
Manish.
The judgment
okay,
is
Nalin,
saying...
Nalin, I have to interrupt you because there are others waiting to speak.
If a judgment is saying that we have to follow the spirit of the constitution, it is supreme to each one of us.
Manish,
you can't ask for an
I
exception
must get in
thereafter.
Manish now. I must get in Manish now, and then Rakesh Sinha and Chandrabhan Prasad. Manish, I would say that as a citizen looking at this, every party that I can think of has at different points been guilty of some version of identity politics. I use the word guilty because according to the Supreme Court, it is guilt. Parties could argue that it is actually a kind of liberation. It is a kind of assertion. But in particular, religion and politics. I look back at 2014 when there was a controversial meeting that takes place between the Congress leadership and the Shahi Imam of Delhi. I do not know a single Muslim who looks at the Shahi Imam as a significant Muslim voice. And yet, this is the kind of politicization of religion that perhaps the Supreme Court is warning against, Manish.
Well, Barkha, you need to step back and look at the Supreme Court judgment in a certain context, which I must admit that I have only flipped through cursorily. I have not really applied my mind to it in any substantive detail. In fact, if you would have called me on the BCCI debate, I would have been far better equipped, since I appeared for Bishan Singh Bedi and Kirti Azad and all the other test cricketers.
Okay, next
and
time
finally
that,
got some reforms going in BCCI. But that, be that as it may, what the Supreme Court has really done is that it has recreated the very purest conception of what pluralistic politics is all about. It has re-emphasized the separation of the church and the state in its entirety. It has held that religion is something which is in the private domain. You have the right to profess your religion, propagate it. You have the right to practice it in the way you like. But when it comes to the larger public space, you cannot exercise democratic franchise, or you cannot compel people to exercise democratic franchise, or coerce them or induce them to exercise it in the name of religion. And obviously, you know, there are subtleties, there are subtext to it.
Okay.
So therefore, as and when it gets implemented and as you go along and different contempt petitions get filed, different complaints get filed under the Representation of People's Act, you know, the law will get even more refined.
But will it?
What essentially
it looks
the Supreme Court has
unimplementable to
done
me.
is
It looks like an
taken the
entirely
clock back to the
unimplementable verdict to
foundation.
me.
No, allow me to complete. Barkha, for the lack of a better word, that's a very cynical view at the outset. I think what the Supreme Court has done is it has recreated the founding vision of India in its purest form, in its entirety, and it has clearly and absolutely laid out the line that, look, insofar as religion is concerned, this is a private affair. All of you guys who brought it into the public space, and you're right, all of us have been guilty, you know, over all these years. This certainly will not do. You are going to be completely out of line, whether you try and invoke the Hindu faith, the Islamic faith, the Christian faith, the Jewish faith, or any other faith for that matter.
Okay, I'm going to get a brief comment from Asad Owaisi, and then I'm coming to you, Rakesh Sinha, because Asad Owaisi, you concentrated on the dissenting judgment, and it's important to tell our viewers that 3 of the 7 judges dissented. And this is what the dissenting judges said. The dissenting judges said that this could actually reduce democracy to an abstraction, right? And they also said that to talk about religion is a kind of debate, and why should we shy away from the debate? Now, Asad Owaisi, my question to you is very direct. Is your problem that the Supreme Court did not revisit the Hindutva judgment? Had the Supreme Court also revisited the Hindutva judgment, would you be sitting back today and saying that as a leader, as a Muslim leader, I am willing to throw religion out of politics? Is your problem the double standard, or do you disagree with the premise as laid out by Nalin?
No, I disagree on both the issues. You see, there is no level playing field. The Supreme Court could have easily defined what is Hindutva and what is Hinduism. And the Bible of Hindutva is what Savarkar said. I'm really shocked that Nalin has equated Hindutva with Hinduism. Secondly, Barkha, tomorrow Nalin can say, defeat OIC because he does not subscribe to our way of life. He has a different approach for the primacy and for the supremacy of our way of life.
Yes, I'm coming.
That is Hindutva, defeat OIC.
Okay.
Thirdly, if you right now happen to look at the website of Uttar Pradesh Assembly, it not only says religion but also caste.
Okay.
And the fourth point is, I'm shocked that Nalin still believes that OIC has a right to go to an Islamic country. And I know BJP should understand that we rejected Jinnah. We accepted India as our country. We believed in the plural democracy of this country.
Okay.
So this judgment has opened a Pandora box.
Yes.
Now who would decide?
Yes.
What is
Let me get
an act of corruption?
Barkha, may I ask Mr. Owaisi a
It is
question?
completely. It is going to be. It is.
May I just a short question?
You know, it is.
No,
it is
I have
going
to bring in
be
Professor
taken to a
Rakesh. I have to bring in
dangerous
Rakesh
level.
Sinha now.
And
I'm
who
asking
would
everyone to
stop?
wait now.
Nalin
Rakesh
would
Sinha,
say,
Chandrapal Prasad.
our
I
way
was
of
coming
life.
for one comment,
Nalin-
please. Just one sentence.
Okay,
I
one sentence,
understand,
Nalin,
but
because
one
the
sentence.
comment was to you
Because
and then
he's
Rakesh.
spoken twice about me.
Okay, Nalin, boliye.
First of all is I can't help Owaisi bhai or Asad bhai if his understanding of the width of what the Hindu religion is or Sanatan Dharma is restricted to a book by Savarkar. So I think that is his ignorance. It is not about a reflection on the larger issue
let
of
me
what
move on.
constitutes this great faith.
Let me move on because
The
I don't
second
want
part
this to
to
be
it
a.
is, if
I'll
he
tell you
says
what
that,
I don't want this to be a
said
debate.
that anybody can
Okay,
anything.
Okay, Manish,
I
give me a
said that
second.
possible
Manish,
to
give
be
me a second. No,
available for
everybody
anybody
hang on.
for
I
economic
have
or
to let my
religious
studio guest
reasons.
speak now.
It's
Rakesh.
not available for someone who practices Sanatan Dharma.
Okay, Rakesh ji. Manish, I'll come to you after that. Yeah.
Look, the OVC has defined Hindutva, but let me define Hindutva, what Hindutva means. It means a spiritual democracy. This is the only way of life where all the religions, all the sects and possibilities of religions, prophets and sects and philosophies are welcomed. Tomorrow, Barkha, you can declare that I am a theist and you have equal right. Tomorrow, Barkha, you can declare that I have my own sect, I am a god. Nobody can persecute you. The entire history of Hindutva is the history of new religions, new sects. We have so many social problems.
But sir,
I am quoting 1911 census report. A British official let down that no one has any problem speaking about his religion. No one has problem with the neighbor's religion. They have problem with the social status. We have the problem that we have marginalized a large number of people as untouchable.
So is all identity politics bad? Is all identity politics by definition bad?
Let me complete here.
In the United States of America, for example, you have an assertion of race. In India, you can have an assertion of Dalits. Asad Owaisi would say that Muslims live on the margins of economic development.
Supreme Court's verdict or observation and verdicts are for post-communal politics. Why I say post-communal politics? You know, Owaisi he's becoming so innocent. He has to say who is getting defeated, who are representative should be increased. He has turned communal dog whistle into air horn. So nobody can pretend that he can't.
But this show is
can't
not about
understand
Asad Owaisi.
It is the seductive myth by the Congress. What is the seductive myth by the Congress? The minorities' rights. I'm quoting the Antony Committee of the Congress. What did they say? They say that we have identified with a particular vote bank to such an extent that we are getting marginalized in majority section.
Okay.
So last comment. I am quoting for the benefit of Mr. Owaisi. Tajamul Hussain. He was a Muslim League leader from Bihar, a member of Constituent Assembly. He said majority and minority are the British creation. Britishers have gone with them. This concept has gone. Please throw out this term from your dictionary. This is the first term in your dictionary.
Rakesh, let's bring Chandrabhan Prasad. And Chandrabhan Prasad, as somebody who has worked on a Dalit chambers of commerce, clearly self-identification as a Dalit is not something that you believe is wrong. The Supreme Court today might well argue that if Mayawati, for example, goes out and says the Dalits should vote for me, that is, by the court standard, violating of the Representation of People's Act.
For centuries, caste has been a tool of oppression. Only recently, say past century and this, caste has become a rallying point for anti-caste movement. And now you say it is an offence.
No, I am
Why
not saying.
I'm not saying. I'm saying Supreme Court.
Yes.
See, why can't Supreme Court ban caste? See, Supreme Court should not only deliver judgment, Supreme Court should also deliver justice. And Hinduism, if Hindutva is a way of life, then it is a bad way of life. We know how Dalits have suffered and they continue to suffer. Only now Dalits and certain lower castes have used their caste, made it a rallying point for anti-caste movement. Now you say it is an offence.
So you are also disappointed with this Supreme Court judgment, but I must clarify for those who know the law, the Representation of People's Act has always said this, by the way. ये हमें आज लग रहा है कि ये कुछ बड़ा नया आया है.
Let me say like
They
this.
were asked to clarify on a single point.
My question is,
yes,
why secularism only in politics, not in society? Ban caste from tomorrow.
So आप कह रहे हैं instead of banning politics in the name of caste, ban caste.
Yes, ban caste.
One sentence and then Manish.
One point, I have agreement with Mr. Chandrabhan Prasad. We lack the social democracy.
Yes.
And this should be accepted that a large number of people have been marginalized socially, economically, and they have been suppressed.
Yes.
Even physically.
Yes.
So I agree with that. But at the same time, having said that, I would disagree with people like Owaisi, who says remove his brother, or he say that remove the army for police 15 minutes, and you will see what will happen in Hyderabad. And I also disagree with
but there is also a minister in this government who said Ramzadeh and Haramzadeh in an election campaign.
If any minister of BJP government says like that, which creates polarization, I condemn that. What I say, that Hindutva is not a narrow concept. It is a civilizational concept, and Mr. Owaisi is a part of this civilization.
Okay, let's get Manish
and I'm last 10 seconds. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, while addressing Aligarh Muslim University in 24 January 1948, he asked the Muslim, "Are you a partner of this great treasure? Are you trustee of the legacy of India or not?"
Manish,
so this question,
Manish,
Mr. Owaisi has to respond.
Before Owaisi Saab comes in, let's go to Manish Tiwari. Manish Tiwari.
Barkha, I think somebody is really missing the wood for the trees. You know, the Supreme Court may have declined to revisit the judgment on Hindutva, saying that Hindutva is a way of life. But where has the Supreme Court ruled that Islam is not a way of life? Where has the Supreme Court ruled that somebody who follows the Christian faith, it's not a way of life for them? Or somebody who follows the Zoroastrian faith, it's not a way of life for them? So therefore, those were matters which were not before the court. The only matter which was before the court at that point in time, in the case of Manoj Joshi, pertained to the definition of Hindutva.
You are not
and the Supreme
distinguishing
Court said Hindutva is a way of life.
You are not making a distinction.
Please.
How do you compare Hindutva with the Islam?
Mr. Rakesh Sinha, please have the patience to listen. Do not interrupt. Do not interrupt, because if something rankles you start interrupting. I heard you with patience. Please have me with patience. Where does the Supreme Court or where has any court said that Islam is not a way of life, Sikhism is not a way of life, Zoroastrianism is not a way of life, or Christianity is not a way of life? Those were issues which were never before the court.
Now, Nalin, the point is that I would again say that I can think of a politician in every single party, and I actually have a whole list of examples, you know, from a Sakshi Maharaj to even a Giriraj Singh in the government. The BJP party president has been accused of making contentious speeches. Akbar Owaisi. There are people, there are culprits. Azam Khan. There are culprits in every party. Mr. Owaisi's brother. हर party में आपको कोई मिलेगा who has made a kind of inflammatory speech. What is the message the court is sending today to all of those people, Nalin?
You know, thank you. And this was the point I wanted to make. It actually dovetails into your question. So thank you for asking that question, Barkha. I think today is that opportunity. That opportunity comes out very clearly that Mr. Owaisi or me can have a different faith, and we are entitled to have a different faith and practice it. But where we become one is when we follow the Constitution in letter and spirit. And I think that's the opportunity, because the Constitution makes us first as Indian citizens. Obviously, we are human beings first, but first as Indian citizens, and that is the level on which we have complete equality. The minute we go beyond that, there will be differences. And then the celebration of differences or the division on differences becomes the big conflict. So I think that's the historic opportunity which the judgment would give us, is being one as Indian citizens by the constitution being equal on that. And I think that's the path forward. It's an opportunity.
Okay, one sentence to
one
Rakesh Sinha, and then I want to go to Mr.
One
Owaisi and
sentence,
Chandrabhat
our the
Prasad.
cardinal means foundational value of Hindutva is ekam satyam vipra bahuda vadanti. If Owaisi accept that Islam also believes in ekam satyam vipra bahuda vadanti, means we treat all religions equal.
Which language you are speaking,
nothing,
sir?
nothing is unequal.
Chandrabhat Prasad is saying
Nothing-
something. Can we cut
Which
to him,
language
please?
you are speaking, sir?
Sanskrit.
That Dalits were not allowed to study Sanskrit.
I am giving one name. I'm giving Kausal. She is from JNU. She has done PhD. She is a Delhi University teacher. So don't generalize, Mr. Chandrabhat Prasad. Your experience cannot be experience. I agreed with you. There is a social discrimination. There is no social democracy for a long time. But we are fighting for social democracy. That
I'll
doesn't
allow
mean
Chandrabhat
there is no
Prasad and then
secularism.
Asad Owaisi.
Secularism and social democracy, you have to make a distinction between the two.
Okay,
Somebody is allowed today to study Sanskriti. He
Sanskrit.
or she is allowed in a Macaulay system of education, not in the Hindu system of education.
No, don't. There are
What
hundreds
is
of
your
there
problem
are
with this
hundreds
judgment?
of the
Let's come back to
examples.
the judgment.
Barkha, there are
हम
hundreds.
कहीं और ही
I
चले गए
can
हैं।
take hundreds of the name in medieval age when they
Okay, Rakesh, I need to
Sanskrit.
go back to Asad Owaisi, but I want
So
Chandrabhat
don't
Prasad.
narrow the debate.
Chandrabhat
Don't narrow
Prasad,
the-
what is your problem with this judgment? I remind our viewers again, we had not paid attention to the Representation of People Act. It always said votes in the name of caste, language, creed, religion were wrong. Today, the court further clarifies that even if it's not your own religion with which you are mobilizing, to use religion in any way is actually something that the court is saying cannot happen. The election could even be declared void. Is this an implementable judgment?
Let me answer this through a question. If caste system has faced the biggest challenge,
Yes.
it has come from the political mobilization of certain parties which addressed the caste constituency. So caste has now become a rallying point to challenge the caste order in a big way.
Yes.
And at that point of time, you are saying no.
What about religion? What is your view on religion before I take that to Asad Owaisi and
No,
Manish and Nalin?
I said if Hindutva is a way of life and Hinduism is some spiritual system, then Hindutva is a violent edition of Hinduism.
No,
Okay, those are strong words.
Just one question to Owaisi.
Okay.
Does he accept that proselytization should not be part of Islam and Christianity? Because Hindutva does not believe in the proselytization. We don't believe in that.
But you had Ghar Vapsi,
No, that-
Ghar Vapsi
oh,
campaigns,
oh,
which is
this
also
is
bringing people back to the fold.
reconnecting to the roots.
Your valid question
No,
of
no,
proselytization,
let me-
proselytization,
you are
valid
right,
question,
you are
but Ghar
right.
Ghar Vapsi is also
I'm
bringing
answer-
people
I'm
back to the
answering-
fold.
I'm answering.
Barkaji, let me give one example.
Those who have been converted through false means, through greed,
Okay,
they
let
are
us
coming back. What's
answer, then
wrong?
Nalin, and then Manish. Yeah, Asad Owaisi, please go ahead.
Barkha, let me remind the RSS.
I'm sorry, am I to
ideologue who
speak
still
or Asad
not
bhai?
found favor with Mr. Modi in getting any post. So, despite being part of that foundation, now he should understand that Pandit Nehru said that the biggest threat to this country is from the communalism of majority. Third point is, I am against this exalted status being given to Hindutva. I have no issues with Hindus. For me, Hindutva and Hinduism is completely different thing. Fourthly, the RSS ideologue doesn't understand the constitution. The constitution says all religion are equal. I will never subscribe to the hate ideology of RSS. To hell with them. Last
And
point
what
is
your
that
ideology when
this
you
is highly
when you
unimplementable.
announce that remove
Listen to me.
police for
Listen to
15
me.
minutes.
Let him
That was
Don't
a- that
disturb
was
me.
a
You
harm-
should have the patience
that
to
was
hear
a- that was
criticism.
an appeal for harmony.
Rakesh,
Listen
you
to
can
me.
respond.
Barkha, stop him.
You
He
can
is
respond
speaking
to
a
it.
great
Rakesh
word.
Sinha,
Great
Rakesh
word
Sinha,
does
Rakesh
not
Sinha,
make you
Rakesh
a
Sinha.
great
Let him.
son.
Acha,
You
on this
are-
show,
you are a spokesperson of communal politics in India.
Sir, bus. On this show, we speak one at a time. I will allow Mr. Owaisi to complete his point. You will have your chance to rebut it. Mr. Owaisi, please go ahead.
Now tomorrow BJP, I again say it, despite what Manish is saying, BJP would say Supreme Court has accepted Hindutva as way of life.
Yes.
Stand up and protect our way of life. They will definitely use it. When Mr. Verma had given that judgment,
Yes.
it was said, and the whole world knows Hindutva term was coined by Savarkar, not by the recent Johnnies of RSS. It was coined in
Okay.
1923.
Okay.
So my main objection is this.
Let me first go to Manish and Nalin. You can then come in because someone mentioned A.K. Antony. I think Rakesh Sinha did, and we actually pulled out that quote. And Manish, this is what A.K. Antony said: "People have lost faith in the secular credentials of the Congress. They have a feeling that the Congress backs for a few communities especially minorities. This is your own party leader saying this. I read this out to you because I believe there's a kind of competitive communalism that has crept into our politics. That all parties are guilty of wanting sections of the pie, and that is where identity politics is now resting.
Well, Barkha, first of all, let me completely reject that because I have not read that particular quote.
No, this is A.K. Antony.
Therefore, I would not like to comment on it. What I would like to, no, I know, I know when you talk, refer to Antony, referring to Mr. A.K. Antony, but I have not read that particular report or that comment or that statement. Until the time I do not contextualize it, I am not going to react to it. But be that as it may,
yes,
I think the Supreme Court has done epoch service to the polity of this country. You know, they've recreated the fundamental principles on which this country was founded, and that was the separation of the church and state. They have clearly circumscribed the public domain and said that religion, which is entirely a personal affair, has no space in it. So therefore, I think, you know, when you go forward and when this judgment gets implemented, you will find that Indian polity will become much cleaner, and all those people, and all of us included, who've been guilty of any form of identity politics would have to revisit the fundamental paradigms of our politics.
Okay, now I have 30 seconds left for closing comments. I'll go to Nalin Kohli and then I'll come to you, Asad Owaisi. Nalin, you started by building a premise that because one faith is not codified and the others are, there is a certain way in which the other faiths can be manipulated in politics that Hinduism can't be. But you've seen Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti's comments. You have seen some of the speeches by Amit Shah in 2014. You have seen Giriraj Singh's comments saying that, you know, that everyone who criticizes Modi should go to Pakistan, which was seen as aimed at a certain religion. So, and then I come back to the 90s that defined Mandir and Mandal. What was the Mandir agitation? Was it not mixing Hinduism with politics?
See, actually, you've asked me something that I could take 15 minutes. I'll try to finish it in a minute. The first point is what I built the whole thing, and I pointed out the entire premise, took you to the 80s, the Shah Banu case, which is where you saw an aberration to the constitutional spirit, and then you see the emergence thereafter, many movements out of India. Everything is in a context. That's the first part. The second part to it is that when you are looking at this, my point has been fundamental throughout. And I'm saying at the end of that entire point, not to revisit it, is that today is an opportunity to go back to the constitutional ethos as it is there. And that constitutional ethos can be translated into reality when you have an agenda which you played the Prime Minister of India's speech in Lucknow, which is Narendra Modi, and the whole agenda of the 2014 development is the mantra.
I'm coming to all of
then
you.
Obviously you're back to it. The question is, are others willing to follow that mantra?
Okay, Asad Owaisi.
Barkha, I know, I was listening to what Manish was saying. Why did Captain Amarinder Singh said that a non-Punjabi should not become a CM or should not become powerful in a Punjabi state?
Yes.
Now, why didn't Manish react to that? Secondly, I would still say that the Supreme Court should have said that each religion is a way of life. By not doing that, the Supreme Court has allowed the RSS and Hindutva to always use this, and they can back it up. And the last point is that, will the RSS and BJP stop talking about cultural nationalism? Would they now take off the construction of Ram
Manish, you can quickly respond to that, and then my studio gets the last word.
Uniform Civil Code?
Barkha, may I come back on that quickly?
Yes, Manish, quickly.
Barkha, may I come back on that quickly?
I have to start closing, yes.
Well, Mr. Owaisi, after the Supreme Court judgment, as I said, all of us would have to revisit the templates and the paradigms that we've been using in our politics. Identity, caste, religion, region. So therefore, what the Supreme Court is telling you, let's emancipate the polity of this country. Let us take it above all that and bring it to a constitutional construct which was premised essentially by the founding fathers that the church and the state need to be separate.
Okay, is that easier said than done? I do have to close 20 seconds and 20 seconds here. Rakesh Sinha.
I think
one quick question, one quick comment, Barkha.
Supreme Court's verdict is to clear the communal dust in Indian politics through through democratic means.
Yes.
And last point to Mr. Owaisi, that he is speaking the language of communalism that everybody understands. He has been escaping in all the debates the fundamental questions being raised by contestants. He just speaks his own language. He has problem with the cultural nationalism. For his knowledge, Bipin Chandra Pal was cultural nationalist.
Okay,
Tilak
we are
was a
reopening
cultural
the debate
so
now at the
he's trying to kill the India's legacy.
Okay, Nalin Kohli, one sentence, and Chandrabhan Prasad gets the last word. Nalin Kohli, one sentence, literally, I'm really out of time. Nalin.
Yeah, I was just saying, yeah, sure. I'm again going back to the fundamental, that the point is that there is no Hindu state. That Hindu state opportunity was there in 1947. We chose to go the constitution way. Now the problem will arise if those who are beyond the Hindu community and they are entitled to follow their faith, if they are going to say that no, we need the religious aspect to come in, that's where the problem comes. That's where the counter reaction comes. So I'm saying the opportunity in this judgment is you go back to what the constitution
Thank you,
is.
Nalin. Sorry, but I have
the
to close.
idiom called Dalit is the biggest challenge to the caste order. What Supreme Court will have to say on this?
And Nalin, the constitution is not majority fundamentalism.
Yes. Okay. We can't restart the debate. Chandrabhan, one sentence. I'll
Not
give you
at
one
all.
sentence.
The constitution
saying-
is zero fundamentalism.
The term Dalit is the biggest challenge against the caste order.
Yes.
What will have
I
court
think
will
that
have
is
to
something.
say on
I
this?
think the court has given a judgment in broad strokes, and really the specifics of this will have to be tested in electoral politics. Leaving it there, Asad Owaisi, Nalin Kohli, Manish Tiwari, Rakesh Sinha, and Chandrabhan
It will
Prasad.
be tested. It will be tested
Yes.
on the anvil of the law as it evolves.
Okay, but the law is right now quite ambiguous, at least as read in this judgment. Leaving it there, thank you to our panel for joining us on the buck stops here.